All right, gang. So now we're on to Chapter 10, Maintaining Server Installations. So we've got the servers already installed, it's configured. And we're going to, in this chapter, describe Windows Server Update Services, WSUS, install WSUS role, configure WSUS, and implement Windows Defender. Now, Windows Server Update Services is a server role that makes it possible for administrators to take control of Microsoft product updates on computers running Windows. We've got patch management, it's another term for WSUS. Now, some people will call updates patches. Now, they're not always patches. Patches are there to repair or fix something. Now, today's updates, they can be adding functionality, not repairing anything. So administrators can control which product updates are allowed, as well as the source and timing of the updates. Updates can be allowed only once to a WSUS server. All right? Updates can be downloaded only once to a WSUS server, then distributed to computers after approval. So you only have to upload them or download them once. You can't download them multiple times. You've got one copy of it. Now, once it's there, that server, the WSUS, that role will take care of everything for us. Now, advantages to it. We've got centralized control over Microsoft product updates, reduced internet bandwidth usage. So rather than everybody downloading the update, we download it to the server. Only approved updates are installed, and it's easy to determine what patches and updates have been applied. Now, Windows Update, it's a built-in function of all Windows US, or operating systems. A build is a particular compilation of the operating system. We'll call it a version of a sort. Now, it's not like what we've got, say, Windows Server 2016, and then we've got Data Center Server, and the different flavors, Server Core, and Desktop Experience. Now, those are all different versions of Windows. Now, when we say builds, it's still the same thing. It's like saying that it's a Windows Server. Now, here's a good example. Windows 8. So when we came out with Windows 8, they came out with different flavors of it. Windows 8.1, Windows 8.2. Now, those are still Windows 8. They're just different builds of Windows 8 to a degree. So here we go, Windows Update. When the update's going to start, when it should end by, restart options. All right. WSUS requirements for storage. We've got Windows internal database, that's WID, which you could configure WSUS to use SQL Server Express or a full SQL Server install too. Requires at least 2 gig of free space. Okay, WSUS can be installed as a single server solution. We've got 2 modes, autonomous mode and replica mode. And here we go with the update servers. It comes down WSUS server, and we've got an autonomous or a replica server along with it. We've got multiples performing the same task. Okay, so we've got WID connectivity. When selected, WSUS uses the WID, which is adequate for most applications. Now, WSUS services should be selected as it installs a number of services WSUS needs. SQL Server connectivity, the checkbox should be, so we'll see it here. Select role services and the different services associated with that specific role. WSUS role. Okay, we take a step further. After we've got our role, we've got to choose to store the update files on a local server along with the path where it's going to be. we've got to configure network settings, specify language. These are all standardized things that we've dealt with in the past. Configure the synchronization schedule and tell the WSUS server how often it should check for updates. So, this update services, here's the configuration wizard. It's in options. Things to be aware of when running mixed environments. Group policy settings for Windows Update vary depending on the version of Windows installed on a computer. Be sure the WSUS server is downloading updates for the appropriate versions of Windows that are running on your network. Now, to configure WSUS, we need to create computer groups, assign computers to the groups, configure Windows Update on the client computers, and configure WS synchronization and approval rules. Now there's two default groups, all computers and unassigned computers. Custom groups can be created as needed. So we've got unassigned computers group, custom group, and custom group 2. They're all members of all computers. Ways to add computers to WSUS groups. We can use the Update Services console or group policy. We can use gpedit.msc. Now, here we go. Comes up general. You can specify how to assign computers to the group. Update Service console. Pops up. Client-side targeting. Member servers. Just keep on moving. Now, clients must be told to use the WSUS server instead of Microsoft's update servers on the internet to find and download updates. You want them getting those updates from our server, not the Microsoft server. Now, we'll push them out to the clients rather than the clients sitting there and waiting. Now, it's something that we'll configure GPOs for the WSUS. So in our GPO or Group Policy Manager Editor, we come down in Updates and we'll dictate what happens when it comes to the updates. Here we are, we're specifying intranet Microsoft Update Service location. All right. And here's the machine, the intranet statistics server, update service for detecting updates, and the deadline before auto restart. Select when feature updates are received. Now, after you've configured automatic updates in a GPO, you can link it to a domain or an organizational unit containing computer accounts. Updates that are not approved are not downloaded and installed by the WSUS clients. Before updates are approved, the WSUS server must synchronize with the Microsoft Update server. We dictate when it happens. A default automatic approval. If enabled, approves all critical and security updates for all computers. You can edit the default rule by creating a new rule with the parameters that you want if it, for whatever reason, you feel it's better. Okay, so here's our automatic approvals. Here's the default automatic approval rule. We can get rid of that, create a new rule if we wish to. Now, here we go. We'll add a rule. That's our custom rule. And create however we want it to be. Now that rule can include one or more of the following criteria: update classification, specific product, or approval deadline. Now here's the update classifications: critical updates, definition updates, driver sets. So each one's separate, distinct of the other, but they're all just as important. You can approve updates manually in the Update Services console. Click Updates, then click All Updates, Critical Updates, Security Updates, or WSUS updates. So here we go, All Updates, and then we just go from there. Whether we want critical updates, security updates, or WSUS. And we can see which ones are there and how many are approved or installed. Now, to approve updates, we could approve all for install for servers, desktops, whatever it may be. That's manual approval. Now, to configure update services for proxy servers. Now, if you need to change, open up Update Services console, click Update Source in Proxy Server, and then click Update Source tab. All right. So the Update Source in Proxy Server, here's the source. The next tab is the proxy. All right. The proxy server uses port 80, which will be allowed on most firewalls, the same port that's used for the World Wide Web. It's either 80 or 8080. So that port's used on our proxy server. Now we're on the proxy server. We can give it a server name, whatever it may be. Okay. Now, two main options in this dialog box: download update files for the server only, download express installation files, or download files from Microsoft Update. Do not update from upstream server. Now, if we need to, we can do the WSUS util.exe with the move content option, and we can change the location from one location to the other, from C drive to D drive, create a new folder on D drive, and open a command prompt to change the directory. Okay. We can configure secure socket layers for a more secure WSUS deployment if need be. Okay. We can create WSUS reports, update reports, computer reports, or synchronization reports. Document, 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 gang. So, if we're going to do this with PowerShell, here's our commandlets and a description of each one. Windows Defender is the Windows anti-malware solution that is installed and enabled by default. Win10, Server 2016. It's a great resource for what it is. Okay. You can configure WSUS to approve Windows Defender updates automatically, given where they're coming from and what they are updating. Now, configure Windows Defender with group policy, much like the other. There's Defender and our settings. We can use PowerShell commandlet, get command module Defender. All right. We can run it and find the functionality associated with the Defender commands. Okay. Now, Windows Defender works by comparing data patterns called signatures to signatures that are known to be associated with malware. And we would go in classifications or products, and here what the product is Windows Defender. And we go ahead and allow that, add a rule, auto approve it, and that'll get us where we need to be. Now, Windows Server Update Services, WSUS, is a server role that allows an administrator to take control of Microsoft product updates on computers running a Windows OS. Okay. If all your servers and clients are running the latest version of Windows, WSUS configuration and management, it'll be so much more straightforward. Everything would just go so much smoother. Configuration tasks on WSUS, we can create computer groups, assign computers to groups, configure Windows Update on client computers, configure WS synchronization and approval rules. In Windows 2016, WSUS has several PowerShell commandlets for automating some of the configuration tasks. Windows Defender is the Windows anti-malware solution that is installed and enabled by default. You can configure Windows Defender manually or through Windows Settings applications. You can also configure Windows Defender through PowerShell. So we'll see you in the next one.